Hello students, welcome you all to another interesting class of today. I am Barsha. Today we are going to study another new chapter from your EVS book, A Shelter So High. So, we know human beings have three basic needs: food, shelter and clothes. And shelter is very important because it gives us protection from sun, cold and rain as well. But you will find so many different types of shelter around you, isn't it? So this story is also about a different kind of shelter. We are going to learn about some very amazing as well as interesting types of shelter in this chapter. Here there is a traveler, Gaurav Jani, who is a film director as well as a cinematographer, who has this extraordinary and adventurous interest to travel and explore the whole country. So he acted as a one-man camera crew cabin and documented the whole story just on the top of the world. It's very unfortunate that we lost this filmmaker recently in May 24, 2020. But this simple and ordinary human being has taken us towards an extraordinary and amazing experience of a shelter which is on the top of the world. So, I do wish that we will learn this chapter and enjoy it a lot. So, get hooked to your seats and enjoy the ride. Okay? As we have already known that this chapter is about Gaurav Jani's travel expedition, we are going to enjoy this chapter a lot. So let us see how did Gaurav Jani explore this expedition with his only companion, his bullet. So here goes the story. This is a traveler's tale. So the story is narrated by Gaurav Jani himself. Now let us see what happens. I am Gaurav Jani and this is Loner, my partner, my motorcycle. But Loner is never lonely. We are together all the time. So Gaurav Jani introduces himself and his companion in this journey, who is a motorcycle. It is basically a bullet. He says the name of his companion, his motorcycle, is Loner. From the name it may seem that it is a person who is very lonely and single, but Loner is never alone at all because Gaurav Jani is always a special partner with his motorcycle. I and my motorcycle wait for a chance to get away from the busy, crowded and noisy city of Mumbai. We like to travel to different parts of this wonderful country. Let me tell you about our amazing journey on the highest roads in India. Now, Gaurav Jani lives in Mumbai. You know about Mumbai, which is a very crowded and noisy city. So usually Gaurav wants to be away from this noise and crowd, and he wants to explore the peaceful environment of other places in our country. So he wants to explore our country more. So that's why most of the time he and his companion Loner go for this adventurous experiences throughout our wonderful and amazing country. Now, this is about a special journey on the highest roads in India. Let us find out where do they go and how do they enjoy their trip. Getting ready. This journey took about 2 months. I had to carry everything on my motorcycle. I had to plan and collect all the things I needed. I packed a small tent, sleeping bag, plastic sheet, warm clothes, and food that would remain fresh for some days. I also took my camera and extra cans for petrol. Loner and I left Mumbai, passing through small villages and towns of Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Rajasthan to reach Delhi. Before we start any journey, we have to do a lot of preparation and planning, and the most important part of the journey is packing. So, this journey also had the same thing. It took around 2 months for Gaurav to complete this journey. He had to carry so many things on his motorcycle. You could feel and imagine that only a person had to carry all his essential belongings because he had to travel on a motorcycle. So he packed a small tent, sleeping bag, plastic sheet, warm clothes, and food that could help him to survive for some days. Sometimes in the journey, he would have not got a proper place to live also. So he was carrying all these essential things along with him. He also took his camera, which was very, very important as he had to capture some special moments through that. And then also he had some extra cans for petrol because you never know, you may not get a petrol pump to your rescue. Loner and I left Mumbai. So they left Mumbai and passed through so many small villages and towns all throughout the states of Maharashtra, Gujarat and Rajasthan to reach Delhi. So when you have to travel to Delhi, you have to pass through these states also. Mumbai itself is in the state of Maharashtra. So while traveling to Delhi, he had to pass through Gujarat and Rajasthan as well. Let us see what happened next through our next paragraph. It took me 3 days to cover 1,400 kilometers from Mumbai to Delhi. I was hoping to see something new and different in Delhi, but Delhi looked just like Mumbai. I'm tired of looking at the same kinds of houses made of cement, bricks, glass and steel. I was looking forward to my journey ahead. Now it took 3 days for him to cover 1,400 kilometers from Mumbai to Delhi. You could imagine such a long distance it was for Gaurav Jani to travel alone on his motorcycle. But Gaurav Jani was so excited and he was an adventurous person. So he didn't quit and he explored more and more. But he was very disappointed because he wanted to see some different varieties, different types of things around Delhi. But he was very disappointed when he could not see anything new and exciting because all those houses also looked the same as the houses of Mumbai. Students, you can know that Mumbai is one of the metropolitan cities and Delhi is the capital of our country. So there was not much difference. Delhi, like Mumbai, was also crowded and they both had the same types of houses which were made of cement, bricks, glass and steel. So he was looking for something extraordinary and exciting in his journey. Now let us see, was he able to find out something extraordinary all throughout his journey? We'll get to know when we move towards the next paragraph. I was excited that I would be able to see wooden houses, houses with sloping roofs and those covered with snow. I had seen pictures of such houses in many books. I packed more things in Delhi and continued. In 2 days we were in Manali. It was so refreshing to be in the mountains and breathe the clean air. Now the real journey was to begin. We had to travel through difficult roads of the state of Jammu and Kashmir to reach Leh in Ladakh. Now, the traveler was excited to see some different kinds of houses. He had to reach another place and he had already got the information through many books about the place. So he was waiting to see wooden houses, houses with sloping roofs and houses which would be covered with snow. So hopefully he is visiting to a hill station because he was traveling to Manali. Students, Manali is in the state of Himachal Pradesh and it is one of the most popular tourist destinations of our country. So, Gaurav packed more things in Delhi and continued his journey. He took 2 days to reach Manali and he felt so refreshing when he was in the mountains because he could feel and breathe the fresh air which was not available to him in Delhi as well as Mumbai. But his real journey was still to begin. He had to travel through the difficult roads of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. You know, it is at the top of our country's map. He had to reach Leh in Ladakh. It was his final destination. So he was all geared up and set up for his journey ahead. Now before we move to the next part of this interesting journey, you have to find out some interesting details. You have your own map and you should check it out in your map, students, that which states would one pass through while traveling from Mumbai to Kashmir. We have already discussed it just before some time, so it would be very easy for you to find out that which states would one pass through while traveling from Mumbai to Kashmir. Yes, you are absolutely correct that while traveling from Mumbai to Kashmir, one would pass through Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, even Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. So all these states will come in the journey. Now next question for you is, Gaurav Jani passed through several states while going from Mumbai to Delhi. Find the capital cities of these states. Was there any other big town on his way? It is very essential for all of us to know about the different states in our country as well as their capitals. I do believe that you know it very clearly. So it would be very easy for you to find out the capitals of those states. So we had Maharashtra. Maharashtra's capital is Mumbai. Gujarat's capital is Gandhinagar. Rajasthan's capital is Jaipur. Haryana's capital is Chandigarh. So some of the big cities which he might have on his way would have been Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Chandigarh, etc. Now there is another question for you to explore, that is Manali a plain or a hilly area, and in which state is it? We know that Manali is a popular hill station, so definitely it is a hilly area and it is situated in the state of Himachal Pradesh. Now let us move to the next part of the chapter, which is very interesting. Now they get a new home. Loner and I were covering long distances each day. All I needed was food and a tent to protect myself from the cold night air. My nylon tent was so small that I could just about fit in it to sleep. Loner stood guard outside the tent. The breeze and the sound of the birds woke me up to see the sunrise. Now, to move to this new place, Loner as well as Gaurav had to cover long distances every day, and on the way they were in need of food and a tent. No doubt that it was not needed for Loner, but it was definitely needed for Gaurav to survive, and most essential was a shelter, because Manali, as we know, is a very cold place. It's a hilly area and cold breeze blow all throughout the night. So he had to protect himself by a tent. But his tent was made up of nylon and it was too small to fit into it to sleep. So anyhow, he had to manage and adjust in that shelter only, and Loner would be guarding outside the tent. And anyhow, in the morning he would wake up with the sound of the birds and the cold breeze, which was so refreshing for him, and he would enjoy to see the sunrise. Now you have to explore these questions. It would be very interesting to stay in a tent. Any one of you, have you ever stayed in a tent? Where was it? What was it like? These questions are for you to understand and explore yourself. Okay? So you would have gone for camping, many adventurous trips, and you would have stayed in tents as well. So how was it? Where was it? And what was the experience like? You can tell us. Next is, imagine that you were to stay alone in a small tent for 2 days and could take with you only 10 things. Make a list of those 10 things. It is very important to have your packing list along with you whenever you have planned for any journey or any traveling expedition. So, the same experience is with you. You have to make a list of 10 things which you would carry with you if you were to stay alone in a small tent for 2 days. There is another question for you to find out the answer yourself. What are the different types of houses that you have seen? Tell your friends about it, and you could also explore by making interesting drawings. Okay, so around you, you would have seen different kinds of houses, isn't it? And when you travel to new places, you would have seen new kinds of houses. So keep learning about them and enjoy through your drawings also. Now let us move to the next part of the chapter and let us find out where do Loner and Gaurav reach. Cold desert. At last, Loner and I reached Leh. For the first time, I saw such an area, high, dry and flat, called a cold desert. Ladakh gets very little rainfall. Here there are high snow-capped mountains and a cold, flat ground. So finally, the destination arrived and Gaurav and his bike, Loner, reached Leh in Ladakh. And for the first time, Gaurav was astonished as well as amazed to see such a beautiful area which was high, dry and also flat. And student, this area was known as a cold desert. Why is it known as a cold desert? Because it is at the top of the mountain and it gets very little rainfall. So it is similar to a desert. Here there are high snow-capped mountains. You will find the mountains which are fully covered with snow and a cold flat ground. So that's why this is known as a cold desert. In Leh, I found myself in a quiet street with beautiful white houses. As I rode slowly, I found that I was being followed by a group of children. They called out Jule, Jule, meaning welcome, welcome. They were all amazed to see my Loner. Everyone wanted me to come to their home. Now, Gaurav was enjoying his stay in Leh. He could find himself in a quiet street where he could see so many beautiful white houses. He was riding slowly in his bike and he found himself being followed by a group of children. You know, children are so excited always, and here in Leh they were excited to see a new person who was a stranger for them and also to see Loner. So they were calling out in their local language Jule Jule, which meant welcome. So they were all very happy and very surprised to see the bike of Gaurav, and all of them were very eager as well as anxious to invite Gaurav to their houses. So finally he got an opportunity to move into the house of a localite. So here was one of the child, Tashi, who invited Gaurav to go to his home. So at home with Tashi. Tashi dragged me to his home. It was a building with 2 floors. The house was made of stones which were kept one over the other. The walls were coated with a thick layer of mud and lime. The house looked like a shed from inside with a lot of hay stored there. So this was Tashi's home, and Tashi's home was a 2-storied building. So it was a building which had 2 floors, and the house was completely made up of stones, and the stones were kept one over the other. This was a very interesting design of the house, and the walls were coated with a thick layer of mud and lime, unlike our houses which are covered with cement. So the house looked like a shed from inside, and there was a lot of hay stored there. We took the wooden steps and reached the first floor. This is where we stay, explained Tashi. The ground floor is for our animals and for storing necessary things. Sometimes when it gets too cold, we also move downstairs. So they took the steps which were made up of wood, of course, and they reached the first floor. Tashi explained it to Gaurav that they stayed in the first floor. The ground floor was meant for the shelter of animals which were domesticated or the pet animals of Tashi and his family members, and also they stored their necessary things in the ground floor. Sometimes whenever it was very cold, because we know that it's a very cold place, so we also moved downstairs. So whenever it was too cold for them to tolerate, to bear, they moved downstairs. And there were no windows, so definitely no cold air could get inside the house, which would keep the people inside warm. Thick tree trunks were used to make the roof strong. It was not an ordinary roof, it was very strong roof which was made with the help of thick tree trunks. Tashi then took me to the roof of his house. What a view! I could see the same flat roofs all around. On some, red chilies were laid out to dry, and on some there were orange pumpkins and golden yellow corn. Some had stacks of paddy, and on some cow dung cakes were laid out to dry. So Tashi took Gaurav to the roof of his house, and Gaurav could not believe his eyes when he reached at the roof, because he could see the same kind of flat roofs all around, and on the roofs he could find some where red chilies were dried, and some where orange pumpkins were there and golden yellow corn were there, and even some roofs had stacks of paddy which were left to dry, and also he could find some cow dung cakes were laid out to dry. So this was an amazing view for Gaurav. This is the most important part of our house, said Tashi. During summer season, we dry many fruits and vegetables. We store them for winters when we do not get fresh fruits and vegetables. Now Tashi explained to Gaurav that the most important part of their house was this roof. Why? Because in the summer season they have so many fruits and vegetables to dry, and they save and store them for the winters, because in the winters the condition is very horrible and they do not get enough fruits and vegetables to survive. So they would dry it in the season of summer and then would save it for the winter, because it was difficult to get fresh fruits and vegetables in the winter season. As I stood there with Tashi, I could see how every part of the house was built specially to suit the needs of the people. I could understand how the thick walls, a wooden floor and a wooden ceiling protected them from the cold. So the house was specially built to suit the needs of his people. like the people, those who were staying there, the houses were meant only to help them out, because definitely it was a cold place and it had to help the people who were living there. So that's why the houses were designed in such way they could help and protect the people, the local residents or the inhabitants, those who were staying in this place. So the walls were very, very thick, the floor was a wooden floor, and there was a wooden ceiling which would protect them from the cold. Now we have already learned so many things about the houses in Leh, isn't it? Now there are some questions for you to answer. I do believe that you have understood the chapter till now very nicely and would be able to answer the questions quite easily. So let us see how smart and clever you are. So the question for you is, during winters, Tashi and his family live on the ground floor. Why would they be doing so? During winters, Tashi and his family live on the ground floor. Why would they be doing so? Yes, students, you are absolutely correct. There are no windows on the ground floor. This would keep the room warm even during winters. That was the reason why Tashi and his family live on the ground floor during the winters. Okay. Now this is a question which is meant for you. So what is the roof of your house like? Is it the same like Tashi? So what all is the roof used for? So you have to share your experience for this question. Yes, most of our houses roofs are flat. So the roof of my house is flat and is made up of bricks and cement, and our roofs are used for drying clothes and also for drying potato chips sometimes it is papad, papad, etc. And during summer sometimes we also sleep on our rooftops, isn't it? That's an amazing experience for all of us. So students, today we have learnt about so many interesting things about a new kind of shelter which Gaurav Jani helped us to explore. Hope you have enjoyed a lot, but there are so many hidden facts which we are going to learn in our next session of this online class. So you need to be a little more patient and you have to wait for that. So we will cover the rest of the chapter in the next class. So till then, be safe, keep smiling and keep exploring. Thank you.